Hello, class, and welcome to Unit 3 review. As always, we'll be talking through some of the more dicier bits of the homework, and that will be our primary focus. But if you have questions, if there's something you're dying to know about or something's absolutely confusing, please be sure to ask us about that in forum, and we'll be monitoring that during the evening. So, where do you want to start, Alan?
First of all, I don't know if it's happening for people on watching in, but your voice is like on echo mode, which sounds really cool.
But, I'm on echo.
Yeah, which sounds cool, but hard to understand. So I don't know if that maybe it's not a big deal. Anyway, hi, I'm Dr. McClellan. Hi, everybody. Good to see you, even though I can't see you. Good to be seen. So let's see. Unit 3. As usual, we're going to walk through the homework. Well, first of all, just as a general comment, we don't talk to you guys that often. This is an online course. We don't like see you every week in class, checking your cell phones and misbehaving like normal students. As far as we can tell, you're all extremely well behaved, and we know you're good people. But we don't see you much, so hi, and we hope that you're enjoying the course, and we really want to make sure that you feel at home. That's partly why we do these live events, to make sure that there's faces behind all the music theory magic, and
it is magic, so don't feel bad if you're not getting it right.
It's not a science, it's all art. No, that's actually, there is a lot of math and stuff, and actually the way I kind of think of it is it's like a theoretical geometry. If you can sort of think of structures and shapes in your mind, that really helps you with music theory. A general comment, never mind, I take that back. I forgot what I was going to say, so I'm not going to make something up. I'm just going to ignore that. But a specific comment is Unit 3 is due on Tuesday, 11:59 p.m. All materials, creative project, exam, and all the homeworks. And as a reminder, as you know by now, you can do the homework multiple times. You can do the exam only once. If you're having trouble with Proctor Track or other issues like that, please let us know right away so that we can address that. So I'm going to go into the first homework, which is called whole tones and semitones. And these are like the building blocks. I don't know if any of you are into like Legos, or maybe some of you are actually like doing real stuff, like you're in engineering, or you actually know how buildings are built.
I think I'd rather do Legos.
Okay, let's do Legos, because I know nothing about that other stuff. So
I'm sure there's some
semitones.
I'm sure there's some engineering required in designing.
There must be, yeah.
Plastic blocks that are supported yet snapped together.
Legos are just brilliant. That's what I have to say about that.
Okay.
But really, when you come to building scales, there's only two Lego pieces, which really keeps things nice and simple. There's the whole tone and the semitone, and really there's only one Lego piece. It's the semitone, and you put two of them together, and it's a whole tone. And then you can build everything else from there. So it's really just adding up semitones into various structures. I mean, you could almost summarize all of music theory in the pitch department with that, by saying that. The smallest divisible unit is a semitone. So the question becomes, how many semitones do you need for a given task? If you want to make a whole tone, you need two. If you want to, later on we'll get into larger intervals where you're adding semitones and whole tones together. But for now, what you're going to be doing with them is building patterns of semitones and whole tones. You may prefer the terminology half step and whole step. Same exact thing. So if you prefer that, go with it. And a scale is just a pattern of whole steps and half steps, semitones and whole tones. But first, you got to be really good at identifying when you have one or the other, and that's what this homework is about. So let me share my screen.
while you're sharing your screen, I just want to point out that the actual word for scale comes from the Greek word that means ladder.
Yes.
So if you can imagine going up a ladder, you want to step on every rung of the ladder. You don't want to skip one. You don't want to step twice on the same rung of the ladder. You don't want two of the same letter names. But if you skip even a single rung of the ladder, it feels like you've made this major jump or fallen, and that's also what happens in music. So it's a very apt description of the scale, but the scale is just one particular ordering of this group of notes you're putting together. It's all the notes in letter name order.
Yes,
or
absolutely.
in semitones and whole tones.
Yeah, and that's a really, really important principle. Is for any given scale, you need all of the letters in the alphabet. You can't skip any, and you can't repeat any, and there have to be exactly 7. And everything else you fix with sharps and flats or naturals. So identifying semitones and whole tones, there's a basic flaw in the way that the staff is designed, which is that it does not show you when you have one or the other graphically. I mean, you can tell because you have to, but there's nothing graphically directly showing you. So in other words, there is a semitone between the middle line on the treble clef B and the space above it C. But then the line above that D, it's a whole tone to the space above that. So why is that? There's no logic to it, really. And one of the stumbling blocks.
There is logic to it. You just now you should supply the logic. We don't want to create the impression that there's no logic underneath all of this, because I mean we are reinforcing the fact that we're clearly wizards of some. But
there is logic. There is logic in the magic. Let's put it that way. Well, no, I agree with you. There is logic in it, and that's what, if you can train yourself to see that and be confident about it, you'll breeze through this unit. And the logic is just that the clef tells you where the notes are, and if you can just remember, there's always a semitone between E and F and between B and C. That is your golden rule. And so then when you have always with this homework, always start with, pretend the notes don't have any sharps and flats when you're starting out, and then deal with the sharps and flats afterwards. So right here you have a G and an F. And if you can just always know that that's a whole tone, then you can think about what the sharps and flats mean. And one thing that can be really helpful, I personally find helpful, is to visualize the piano keyboard. And even if you're not a pianist, if you just remember, there's 2 places where there's 2 white notes next to each other, and that's D and E, or sorry, I'm going to mess you all up. Not D and E, E and F, and B and C. And if it's not one of those 2, then it's a whole step, a whole tone. Anything to add there? Uh-oh, have we lost?
So no. I just didn't realize my.
No, I just didn't want to blab on and not give you a chance.
No. If I feel like entering, I'm sure I will. But just always, whenever you have the letters E and C or E and F, you just pay special attention, because that's where you start from a different footing. Start with the semitone, and that will affect any incidental you put on top of. So just whenever those letters, just take a breath, pause, and say, okay, this is going to be a little more complex. And pay attention to what you're doing. Refer to the keyboard. That's very helpful.
Absolutely. So the thing where it gets a little trickier is diatonic and chromatic, CST versus DST. And basically the rule of thumb there is that if they're different letter names, so this is if you have a semitone. That's the first step. If you know you have a semitone, so let's find one. Okay, this is F flat and F natural. So if you played that on the piano keyboard, you would have 2 different keys with no other keys in between, and that means it's a semitone. So you can rule out the whole tones, kind of like the SATs, like rule out what you can. Now, is it chromatic or is it diatonic? Well, the simple rule is that chromatic means that they are the same letter name and they are on the same level, same line or the same space. If they are diatonic semitone, they are on different letter names. Let's find one of those. I'm not going to give away too many answers. This is not a semitone. Hint, hint.
Can you explain why it's not a semitone?
Yeah, I want to find a diatonic semitone, and then I'll come back to it.
Yeah, it's not that important. It's an F, an E, and an F, and an F. One of those ones that starts with a semitone. So you make an F and F sharp, you're actually expand distance and making.
Yeah, so that's exactly right, and that's why you need to start with pretend there's no sharps or flats for a second to see what would this be by itself without any sharps or flats, and then introduce the sharp or the flat and see what is this doing to that situation. Well, you had a semitone E to F, but now you're making this one a little further away, wider, higher, so it becomes a whole tone. Anyway, I can't find a diatonic semitone. Yes, okay, this is a diatonic semitone. Two notes right next to each other on the piano. But they're different notes, different letter names. One is on a space, one is on a line. Anything to add before we jump to the next homework?
No, just to summarize, if they're the same letter name, they're chromatic, and otherwise just look if they're half steps or hops.
Yeah,
that's really the key. And that's also what we're making our diatonic scales from here on out. So you have a chromatic semitone. If you have two letters the same name, you're making a mistake. And that one part of our diatonic scales, that's a chromatic interval, chromatic tone.
Yeah, and this is also a case where you might be wondering at first, like, what the heck do I need two different types of semitones for? Well, the rest of this unit is kind of about why that distinction exists. And there's a lot of stuff like that. It will all make sense. I imagine other academic subjects are similar. I haven't been in school in so long that I don't remember anything I learned except for the music stuff. But I trust that other topics are similar, where you just have to kind of learn one step at a time and trust that it all fits into a system. If it helps at all, people have been studying this stuff for hundreds of years, and it's made sense to all of them so far in various ways. All right. What is this homework about? Major scale. So now you're going to start to string these. Sorry, my screen is kind of sluggish because I have an old, slow computer. You're going to start to string semitones and whole tones together into scales. And the key here is the pattern. And the way I think we like to talk about this is that the pattern of the scale is like the DNA of the scale. It's a piece of information which is not the scale itself, but it's like a map. And if you follow, or sort of, it's DNA. If you follow the code of the pattern, you'll get that scale. And it's really just a relationship or a pattern of whole tones and semitones. So this is asking you, this is kind of a complex task that's being asked here because you have to do a few steps. So it says, in C major, what is this pitch's solfege syllable? So you're given this random pitch floating in space, and what do you do with it? How do you derive the information that's being asked for? Well, first I would suggest starting with that note and building a scale up or down to the tonic, the home note of the key that's given, in this case, C major. And I definitely suggest using scratch paper for this. Would you agree with that, Doc Wilcox?
I absolutely would. You would use scratch paper unless the notes are really close together. So
yeah,
definitely print out some scrap paper. We have a link on the course home and in the syllabus, I believe, to just free blank step paper and print some out pencil. And when you're doing work, when you're taking tests, it's fine. Just use the scratch paper.
Yeah, it's super useful. And so what it will really help you visualize, because this assignment asks you to kind of have this whole structure of the scale in your mind, and if you can just have it right in front of your eyes, it can really help. So just to walk through this one, basically you would build that scale up or down. It doesn't matter which direction you go, as long as you get to, well, you really have to go both directions, up to C and down to C. And then you just now reorient and say C is now my home tone, because that's given. And now what pitch in the scale is that A, sort of working backwards. So now you count from C and you go, C is Do, D is Re, Mi is Fa. Am I on the right? Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm had a little brain lapse there. Mi is not Fa. Mi is E. Fa is F. G is Sol, and A is La. So that's the answer. Gave away a free answer. That's why you should watch these things. And that's really what you do. I don't want to belabor this one too much. I want to keep moving. But we could probably spend a little more time with that if we had the time.
Yeah, I mean, whatever key we tell you, whatever key we give you, you can just count up. You can just count up letters.
Yeah, and this one works the same way. So it's kind of
G A. So I give you D flat major, and I ask you for an A flat. It would be D E F A. It would be the fifth note of the scale. Irregardless of accidentals, you count them. Count letter names. It'll tell you the scale degree. It'll tell you the solfege syllable and the like.
That's a really great point. That in this case, in these two assignments,
better major keys.
You don't need the accidentals. It's only about the note name in the scale and its role in the scale and where it lies, and that's really all it comes down to. So in a way, it kind of simplifies things. By the way, ask us questions on Piazza. We're here to help. So I'm gonna jump to the next one, since this one works the same way. Although I should mention a crucial difference. Actually, this is a source of a lot of confusion.
You got it right there on the screen. You should cover that one.
Yeah. So this comes up a lot. People say, what's the difference between a leading tone and the subtonic? And it's admittedly a little tricky. So in A minor, what is this pitch's harmonic function? So G sharp in A minor. So we're going to build a scale. I'm going to go down F, E, D, C, B, A, down to the tonic, which is A, and then maybe count back up. A, B, C, D, E, F, G is the seventh note in the scale. So we know that's the seventh. Now, there's two options for that. There's the leading tone is often in the major scale. That's the seventh scale degree in terms of harmonic function. Remember that seventh scale degree and leading tone are two ways of talking about the same note, two names for the same thing. But so all that is just a lead up to say that leading tone is when, the way I think of it is just that the leading tone is a semitone below the tonic. So if we kept going up to A, it would be G sharp to A, and that's a diatonic semitone below A, and that's the leading tone. If it were a whole tone, if it were G natural up to A, that would be the subtonic. So the difference between leading tone and subtonic is the distance it is below the tonic. Leading tone is a half step or semitone. Subtonic is a whole tone or whole step. Anything else to add there? Is that a good way to explain it?
Yeah, it's just a matter of semitones and counting, the keys on the piano, and that really tells everything you need to know. Of course, when we talk about the tendency of pitches, how they tend to want to move in different directions, we point out that the leading tone wants to push upwards, which is why the leading tone is created with the raised seventh scale degree in our minor scale. So we have that sense of melodic push upwards and harmonic push upwards that we'll see later.
Absolutely, yeah. All right, jumping on to scale patterns. Keep those questions coming on Piazza, or rather, start some questions coming. I know it's a sleepy Sunday evening. All right, so scale patterns. Basically, this is what I was talking about before. Excuse me, the kind of DNA of the scale. Again, my screen is being very sluggish here. I can't scroll down, but so it says mark the WTs and the STs between adjacent pitches. So this sort of, if you can do the previous homeworks, you can do this. It's just a matter of laying out the pattern that you see in the notes and entering the code into the box. And this is one of those things that sort of just be really careful to enter the code correctly, because that, if you know what you're doing and you mess up the code, it's just sad because you actually did know it, but you get the answer wrong. So just be careful when you're entering those. But again, if you can tell, for example, F sharp, G, A, what are the semitones and whole tones there? F sharp, D is a semitone. So you drag this little guy oh, there it is.
You seem to be cutting out, at least for me, on this because I'm not sure if it's my issue, but I'm getting this like to show my A max headroom effect.
Is it better now?
It seems to, yeah, it seems to be. It was sort of enjoyable there a little bit, but
it might be my old dead sluggish computer.
Yeah, possible. Yeah.
Anyway, so you drag the code down there, and then you you just lay them all out there, and then you just copy what you see into the box.
Your doesn't seem to be sharing anymore either. It just got a blank.
Uh-oh.
It's weird.
We are tech geniuses, people.
Hey, speak for yourself. I'm no genius.
You were wondering. I wonder, is it back?
No.
It's probably because my wife is watching Hulu.
Oh, how dare she?
I know, seriously. Seinfeld. Okay, anyway. I'm sorry. Maybe you could take over while my computer recovers its wits.
Well, we can keep talking for a minute, and I'm gonna go. I actually don't have college open, so I'm gonna putter on over there and pick the next one.
All right.
Oh, I guess Dr. McClellan has left the stage. His internet is well and truly fixed. So we'll pick up. Where were we? All right, just give me a second. Fast forward this, but if you're watching it later, let's. Okay, rather than simply rather than walking you through the homework, I think I'm gonna. I think I'm going to go ahead and show you just how I scales, just in terms of half steps and whole steps, and I'm going to start with the major scale and then do the minor scales and the variations, and at the end I'll talk about relative and parallel major and function, because when you've got the pattern works for all scales. The major scale pattern always works the same way. The minor scale pattern always works the same. It doesn't matter what key you start on. If you follow the pattern set, there's two patterns. That's all there is to. So let's go ahead and do a major. Now, if I just do white notes, I can use my major scale palette. I can put do, re, mi, or first, second, third. See, if this is just white notes, I got a whole step, and you can see the key in between, and a whole step between and mi. You can see there's like a key in between. Now mi and fa, it's a semitone, and you can see piano keyboard. There's no black key in between. And again, the next pitch in our C major scale is the Professor Mellon is telling me that he's up with his computer, so he may be back. The next step in fa and sol is a whole tone. Let's give us another whole tone. And again, this is just a white note scale, just C to C. And here between 7 and 8, we're going to get that last semitone. So if we remember our major scale pattern between 2 and 3, right here between mi and fa is a semitone, and between 7 and 8, between T and do are other semitones. So this is just the normal pattern of white notes on the piano. So what we want to do is we want to take this same pattern and just place it somewhere else. It doesn't matter where you start. So for instance, let's start on E flat. So I have an E letter, E flat, and I want to go to an F letter. Well, let's put it there on F. What do we have between E flat and F? Well, that's a whole tone, one key in between. Okay, so we want a whole tone, so that would be up to G, right? One key in between. We want a semitone, right? And it can't be a G because we G already. So it's got to be sort of A flat. See my tone? No keys in between. All right, between A flat, well, with some sort of B, right? So B flat. There's our whole tone between A flat and B flat. We have a whole tone between sol and la, and we had a B, so it needs to be some sort of C, right? So B flat, C, and we need a whole tone between la and T, right? So there is a whole tone, one note in between. We've got a D, and lastly, the semitone back to E flat, right? Because we had a C, D, we need some sort of E, but it's flat, E flat. Here's our E flat major scale, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, D, E flat. All we did was we just shifted the pattern from C major. We're just moving it around. So let's move it one more time. Let's start on an F. F to G is a whole tone. G to A is a whole tone. Now between 3 and 4, we need a semitone. So A to B flat, right? It's got to be some B. Now we need some sort of C, a whole tone away. So there's a whole tone, right? Key in between. And then we need a D, whole tone, E, whole tone. And here between 7 and 8, we're going to get our semitone. There we go. We've made F major scale. But again, and this is always the same pattern. All major scales sound similar. They sound identical, except for the fact that they're starting and ending on pitches. But the pattern is what makes it sound distinctly major. So here we have F, B, F, G, A, B flat, C, D, E, F. We have a semitone between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. So let's do something similar. Let's go ahead and look at our palette for the minor scale. Now it seems more complicated, right? Because there's a lot more going on. But this palette, I designed it to essentially give us a few more options to let us raise that 6 and 7 degree. So let's start with our same C major scale. Let's start with A minor. Let's start with A minor because it mirrors our C major. So A. Now, in our minor scale, right here, natural harmonic minor, top right, we have a whole semitone between 2 and 3. So between 1 and 2, I have a whole tone. So there is a whole tone between A and B. Now we need a semitone between E and C. And notice we don't mi, because mi would be a whole tone. Me is the semitone, and then fa is a whole tone. And then between 4 and 5, we need a whole tone, an E, and C. There's a between. And then between 6 and 7, we got that semitone. So let's grab the lay, and then te. So here we have a semitone between 5 and 6, and then a whole tone between 7, and whole tone between 7 and 8. This is what's called a natural minor scale. It's the base pattern before we start doing any kind of altering to it. And you see, it's just like the white note scale, C major. Semitone is nat between a B and a C, and between E and F. So when we look at this pattern, if we start on A as opposed to starting on C, we're getting that semitone between 3 and 5 and 6. That's just natural. So let's go ahead and change this. We have our A minor scale. Go ahead and make our A harmonic scale. Well, when we have a harmonic scale, we take our te, our subtonic, and we make it a T, beating tone. And you see what happens? I'll just leave the te there. Here we have a semitone, or here we have a whole tone between 6 and 7, between lay and te, and a whole tone between 7 and 8, between te and do. But what we want is a lead tone between 7 and 8. So here we have G sharp to an A. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G sharp, A. Still one. Notice this is no longer a semitone, right? Between our 6 and 7 scale degree, there's 2 keys. So it's not even a whole tone, it's even bigger. And we get this an augmented 7th. So here we have that augmented second, and here we have that augmented second, and that's a strange sound. I can't play it for you right because the sound won't come through to you. But that's an awkward sound, and so what would happen is that composers would not like the sound of a harmonic minor scale used all the time. They might occasionally use it. So what they would do to kind of smooth this out is, instead of the half tone between 5 and 6, change the semitone to be between 6 and 7. Now, right now we have that augmented second. So we're going to raise that 6/7 scale degree. We're going to raise that 6 scale degree. So here now, this is our harmonic. This is our melodic minor scale, and set that semitone between 2 and 3, and between 6 and 8. So the part between 2 and 3 makes it sound minor as opposed to major, which would look like that. And the part here kind of solves that kind of dist sound that came from the augmented second. So kind of the harmonic benefits that we see, because you'll see the top of this looks like a major scale. We get the harmonic benefits of major, but still retaining kind of that sad quality of minor. Okay, so let's do another one. Why don't we start again on E flat? So let's just do a natural minor scale. So E flat, we need a whole tone. So that would be F. Now with some sort of G, but it's a semitone above F. So that would be G flat. Then we need a whole tone between 3 and 4. So that would be G flat, A flat. Whole tone between 4 and 5. A flat, B flat. Between 5 and 6 we need a semitone. So we need for our scale degree, we need some sort of C, but we need a C flat, right? Because we only need a semitone. And then we need a whole tone between our 6 and 7 degree, our te. So that would be sort of D flat, right there. Is that whole tone with 1 key in between, and then we need a whole tone between 7 and 8. There's E flat, my natural scale. E flat, G flat, A flat, E flat, C flat, D flat, E flat, more complicated minor scales. So let's go ahead and alter it. Well, first, let's raise our scale degree from a subtonic to a leading tone. So raise it by semitone. So there. Now we have our harmonic. We've created that in second, right? There's keys in between. And again, if we want to keep going and make the melodic ascending, also raise the scale degree. So instead of a C flat, we'll have a C natural. Here now we have that summit between 7 and 2 and 3. That's our melodic ascending. Now on the way down, oftentimes composers would shift back to the sadder sound of natural. So we have on the way back down, it's like natural minor. I think on the tests, yeah, we have to do both. So the important thing to remember is on the way up, you use the 6 and 7 scale. So you go so C flat to C natural to D natural, and then on the back down, you go C flat, D flat. So these are the scale palettes, but their intent is to help you build different scales. It seems like Professor McQuillan is back. Let me see. I'm not hearing you. On for a second. Professor McQuillan, are you there? He is way, but we are not hearing him. And I believe that this time it is his problem, not my problem, because earlier it was my problem. It's good that it's not always my problem. So right now we can't hear him, but we will hopefully have that sorted. And I'm going to push on and talk briefly a bit about relative and parallel. And again, let's get my screen sharing. Okay. So here, it's really two conceptions, two things to get straight, and two things to think about. Parallel scales are scales that move over the same ground, that they cover the same territory. So a parallel scale, because of that, it's going to start the same pitch. So a parallel for C major would be C minor. A parallel D major would be D minor. A parallel for E major would be E minor, because they start and end in the same place, move together. Now they might have different pitches, different scale patterns, but they're together. So this first, we ask you for parallel minor to E flat major. So what we want you to do is find an E flat minor scale. Now, I suppose we should have covered key signatures. I didn't do that. Maybe we should step back and do that. Hold on. Let me do that, because that is definitely important. Oh, Professor McClellan's trying to get my attention. Yes. Professor, did you want to say something? No, you don't want to say something because your sound not working, is it? No, it's broken, huh? All right, let's do key signatures real quick, and then I'll talk about parallel and relative. I don't think we need to talk too much more about harmonic function, just because Professor McClellan covered that so expertly already. So let's look at some of the major and minor minor key signatures, and let me get back to sharing here. Okay. So for major scales, there's flat. There are scales that have flats in the key signature, scales that have natural keys, or scales that have sharps in the key signatures. C major has no key signature. There's no flats or sharps. So that means that you're just using the white notes. And there's some tricks, though, for the other types of scales for major. So I'm going to tell you the trick to make this work. And let's start with B major. what you do when you have flat key signature is you start the end and count back 1. So I'm counting back to the second flat. The second to last flat in B in flat major, or to E flat and B flat would be B flat. So if I want another one, let's look at this key signature. Let's use the circle of, well, no, look at this key signature at the top. This it says C flat major, so it's this dramatic when I give you the. But if you count through the flats that we give key signature, the last one is F flat, but the last flat is B flat. Or sorry, C flat, and that's the key we're in. So here again, if I have 5 flats, B flat, E flat, A flat, G flat, second to last D flat, 6 flats, B flat, E flat, A flat, D flat, E flat, G flat, C flat, second to last flat, G flat. So go to the second to last flat. That's the key for the flat. Now. You'll say to yourself, well, F major, there's a second to last flat. Well, you sort of have to remember that that's an F. And generally speaking, flats are related, by 4/5. So essentially, what you're going to be doing from the B flat is going down. And if there was a pre-flat, it would be F. But again, then not something you probably want to think about too hard. It's best just to remember that a single flat is F. Now, sharp keys are even easier. So instead of going to the second to last flat, here we just go to just the last sharp. The last sharp is the tone of key. So here for G major, the last sharp is F sharp, and we're going to go up a semitone G. Last sharp in D major is a C sharp. We'll go up a semitone to D. In A major, last sharp is a G sharp, semitone A. In E major, last sharp is a D sharp, semitone to E. Actually, really easy to figure out the major key signatures. It's actually really very simple. Now, let me see. I have the minor ones. Where did we put the minor ones, Professor McQuillan? Being awful quiet there. Okay. Okay, so the minor key signatures, it's not the same easy trick, minor signatures. So what I do is actually something that's relatively similar. So for instance, let's look at this circle of fifths, and we have the major on the outside and the minor on the inside. Now, if I have a D major, and remember we said go to the last sharp and count up by a semitone. So here I have an F sharp and a C sharp. If I count up my tone, that is a D. That is D major. But what would the associated minor key? And we call this the relative minor because it has all the same pitches. It's like it's like a twin with all the same DNA, except the twin is like a little twin. It's like goth and depressed. And the other twin is like a leader or something. There's just one happy and one's down, but they're exactly the same, genetically speaking. They have all the same pitches. Some might have like a nose ring, which would give an alteration, slightly different scale. Essentially, they're the same. So if this is D major, they go to the last sharp. Well, our relative minor is going to on the 6th scale degree of D major. So what you do is you go to that last and just go down one. Go down, instead of going up, go down. So C sharp, and if we went down, it would be a B. A B is the 6th scale degree. Now you go to that second to last sharp and then move down one line or one space, and then you still need to compare it to the signature. So if the B had been sharp key signature, that would have changed things. So let's try that again with a B major. So in B major, I have 5 sharps. The last sharp is A. That's a 7th degree. So if we go up to the tonic, that would be B. That would be major. But if we went from A sharp went down, A sharp down to G, remember G is sharp, F sharp, C sharp, G sharp. If we went down, we see G sharp minor. So again, that's nice and easy. That's pretty straightforward. One more, F sharp major, F sharp, G sharp, D, A sharp, and E sharp. The last sharp is E sharp. We go up a semitone. It would be F sharp, right? It wouldn't be E double sharp. It wouldn't be plain F. It would be F sharp. If I went down from E sharp down a line, E sharp, it would be D, and D is sharped in the already in the key signature. So D sharp minor. So that's relatively. Let's go ahead and do the same with the flat keys with flats in the key signature. Let's again look at B flat major. So this isn't quite as easy. We know it's B flat. We have a B flat and an E flat. We go to second to last flat, which would be B flat. So that is the tonic, right? So that's the tonic, and to get what we're looking for is the 6th scale degree. That's the magic note the minor key starts. So if we go down, B flat, that would be tonic, or 8. Count down to the space, the A, that would be C7, that leading tone, and go down one more 6. That would be the submit. That would be the 6th scale. So B flat, the minor, the relative minor is G. If you went to E flat, again you count back to the 2nd flat. That's tonic, and then you go down 2. So tonic would be E flat. And then D, C. At C, there's nothing in the key signature to that C, so it would be C. Again, 4 flats, B flat, A flat, A flat, flat. Major scale would be the second to last, A flat. That is the tonic. So we would go tonic. Down to G would be the tone. Down to F would be submediate. And so our minor scale, our relative minor would start on F. So with relative, again, they're going to have the same key signature. They're going to have all the same DNA in common, but have a different mood to them. But with parallel, you're going to stop and stay in the same place. So parallel to C major would be C minor. Parallel to A major, A minor. A relative to A major would be F sharp. It's going to have all the same key signature before any iterations happen. So that is relative and parallel. So when we give you in the homework, if we give you, for instance, the parallel to E flat major, well, what we want is E flat minor. So let's through and remember. We want with flats, the second to last flat's tonic. So if E flat minor, if the to last flat is tonic, first, how would we do that? That would be, well, first, since we're kind of going the opposite direction, instead of counting up, let's count, instead of counting down and up. So if E flat is the 6th scale degree, then F would be the 7th, and G flat would be tonic of the relative major. So we want G flat major right there, 6 flats. G flat would be the second test. And let's look at another one. Parallel minor to F sharp major. What F major? We want to go to the major scale. Here's the signature for F sharp major. The second to last sharp is E sharp. We can count up to F sharp, but we want the relative minor to that. Or did we want relative? We want the parallel minor to F sharp major. So this is the key signature F sharp major. We want key signature for F sharp minor. Now, after a while, you just start to know these. You don't have to think about it so much. But if F sharp is median, it's the 6 scale, we go F sharp, G sharp, A. So the parallel major would be A major here. Okay. Hopefully that helps figure out some of these things. And again, let me see if there's questions showing up on. Oh, Professor McClellan is laying the computer. Oh, and they're asking if you can drop the course. Ooh. Oh, well, that's really not a question about the content. So let's Sean from there. I am not seeing questions. Please feel free to ask us questions if you have them. And as always, we're always happy to discuss and handle the troubles you may have. So please contact us if you need any assistance. Okay, thanks a lot.